1,000-year-old giant handprint, found in rock, mysterious discovery, shocks archaeologists. Have you ever wondered how our ancestors lived thousands of years ago, what they believed in, and how they managed to build structures that go beyond the imagination of modern humans? Welcome to 10 Minutes Discovery, where we uncover the unsolved mysteries of the ancient world together. In today's journey, we're traveling back in time, not only to witness archaeological sites covered in the dust of ages, but also to listen to the stories they're trying to whisper to the modern world. We're also here to answer some pressing questions. How were multi-ton structures stacked with perfect precision long before machines existed? Who built the pyramids that remain undiscovered? And were humans truly the only inhabitants of the ancient world? The world's leading archaeologists have often been left stunned by unearthed artifacts. Some discoveries have even forced scientists to rewrite human history. And the most fascinating part? These mysteries remain unsolved to this day. Are you ready to open the gateway of time with us, to dig deep beneath the earth and uncover truths that have been buried for thousands of years? If so, stay with us until the end of the video, because the greatest mystery is always saved for last. Now let's begin. The 1,000-year-old mysterious handprint. Deep within the ancient city of Jerusalem, a place that once stood at the heart of bloody conflicts, chapters of a 1,000-year history are still being unearthed from beneath the ground. This time, an eerie and fascinating discovery has stunned the archaeological world. A human handprint carved directly into the stone wall of an ancient dry moat, nearly 33 feet wide, built in the 10th century, a peak era of fierce defenses against waves of invasions. But the question that sparks everyone's curiosity is, why a handprint? Who left this mark? And does it carry a hidden message? During a survey in preparation for a modern infrastructure project, experts from the Israel Antiquities Authority discovered the moat lying deep beneath one of today's busy roads in Jerusalem. Manually hewn from solid rock, this moat measures at least 33 feet wide and ranges in depth from 6.5 to 23 feet. Unlike the water-filled moats surrounding European castles, this one is dry, and that's exactly what made it a strategic masterpiece. Imagine you're an invader, trying to cross rugged terrain and sharp sloping rock under a hail of arrows and burning projectiles from defenders above. It would feel like stepping straight into a death trap. That was the very purpose of this dry moat, to deter any army that dared dream of conquering Jerusalem. According to historical records, this formidable structure significantly slowed the advance of even the mightiest medieval armies, particularly the Crusaders, during their siege of Jerusalem in 1099. Exhausted after a long and grueling journey, they arrived only to find themselves facing a massive pit of death. It took 5 weeks of relentless assault, countless tactics, and a heavy toll in lives before the Crusaders were able to cross the moat and enter the city. And then, right on the steep stone wall of that moat, archaeologists discovered a strange handprint, a clearly carved human hand, as if someone deliberately left behind a message for the ages. It wasn't a royal symbol, nor a religious engraving, but a bare, silent, haunting hand. The image raises countless questions. Was it the mark of a warrior who once gave his life defending the city? Or a final message from an invader, a testament to a fleeting yet fierce presence in the Holy Land? Perhaps it was just the idle carving of a bored soldier, one that unknowingly left behind a puzzle for generations. What's most intriguing is that experts still don't have a definitive answer. The handprint could have belonged to a Muslim or Jewish defender who bravely stood guard over Jerusalem for centuries. Or perhaps it was a European soldier, one of many who journeyed from afar in the brutal Crusades. Or maybe it meant nothing at all. That unanswered question is precisely what makes this discovery so mysterious and compelling. Archaeologists hope that continued research into the moat and its surroundings will eventually shed light on the true meaning of the handprint, because even the smallest artifact, when placed in its proper historical context, can unlock an entirely new chapter of history. Beneath layers of time's dust, a carved handprint, seemingly meaningless, might just be the key to unlocking a forgotten piece of our ancient past. So, what do you think? Whose message is this handprint? Is it a symbol of hope, a vow of loyalty, or just a random mark left amid the blood-stained canvas of history? Share your thoughts below. Who knows, you might be the one to help us uncover the mystery hidden in the ancient stones of Jerusalem. 90-million-year-old beast. Bone crashes through asphalt. In the wild and mysterious lands of Patagonia, dubbed Argentina's prehistoric prairie of giants, archaeologists have officially announced the discovery of the fossilized remains of a massive titanosaur dinosaur that lived around 90 million years ago. Recently reconstructed and named Chuckurosaurus diripienda, the name reflects not only its extraordinary strength, but also a jaw-dropping incident that occurred during the excavation and transportation of its first bones. And you won't believe what happened. Back in 2018, archaeologists first discovered fragments of this creature's skeleton when they were spectacularly exposed on the hillsides of Rio Negro province in Patagonia, an area renowned for being one of the world's richest prehistoric fossil beds. But this time, what left the entire research team breathless wasn't just the size of the bones, but their astonishing weight. Just one leg bone required a coordinated effort from multiple people to move it, inch by inch. Then, during the transport of the fossils to Buenos Aires for further study, something completely unexpected occurred. Despite being carried by a heavy-duty truck designed for massive loads, the sheer weight of the bone proved too much. In a sudden moment of imbalance, the bone slipped off the vehicle, crashing directly onto the asphalt. But here's the wild part. The bone didn't crack, not even a chip. Instead, the road was what got destroyed under the impact of this prehistoric titan. It was a terrifying yet awe-inspiring moment, one that ultimately inspired the naming of the species. In the Quechua language, chucaro means unyielding or wild beast, while diripienda is Latin for thrown away, a nod to that unforgettable moment when the dinosaur bones slammed into modern pavement. Chuckurosaurus has been identified as part of the titanosaur group, the largest of the sauropod dinosaurs. These were the gentle giants of the prehistoric world, herbivores with massive legs, long necks, long tails, and bodies that stretched up to 98 feet in length. With an estimated weight of 66,000 to 88,000 pounds, Chuckurosaurus ranks among the most massive creatures to have ever walked the Earth during the Cretaceous period, the golden age of giant dinosaurs. And believe it or not, despite its enormous size, Chuckurosaurus wasn't even the largest dinosaur we know of. In fact, right there in Argentina, some of its relatives like Patagonia, Argentinosaurus, and Notocolossus are estimated to have weighed up to 154,000 pounds, the weight of a small train. As for length, the current record holder is Supersaurus, discovered in the western United States, which reached a staggering 128 feet, longer than a commercial airplane. But beyond sheer size, what makes Chuckurosaurus diripienda truly stand out is the story behind it. From its discovery on the dry hills of Patagonia to that iconic fall onto the highway, and now its reconstruction, bringing back to life a dinosaur that had been asleep for nearly 100 million years. Can you imagine the scientists' reaction? Watching a fossilized bone, tens of millions of years old, crash to the ground and come out completely unscathed? That moment not only highlights the raw physical power of this animal when it was alive, but it also confirms something else. Prehistoric nature produced real-life living machines, creatures far beyond what we can fully imagine today. Ancient purse made of dog teeth. In the heart of modern-day Germany, where the winds sweep across the wide-open landscapes of Saxony-Anhalt, archaeologists have once again astonished the world with the announcement of what may be the oldest purse ever discovered, over 4,000 years old, made not of leather or cloth, but of hundreds of dog teeth. Yes, you heard that right. A Stone Age accessory crafted not from fabric, but from sharp canine teeth, meticulously arranged and possibly once carried by hand, much like a modern-day handbag. The story begins near the city of Leipzig at an archaeological site covering roughly 250 acres known as Profen, an area originally slated to become an open-pit coal mine. Before excavation began, archaeologists were granted access and quickly realized they were standing atop a literal time capsule. More than 300 graves, hundreds of stone tools, spearheads, pottery, bone buttons, an amber necklace, and most impressively, the grave of a woman buried around 50 BCE alongside over 1 pound of gold, painted a vivid picture of the ancient civilizations that once thrived here. But among these incredible finds, nothing sparked more curiosity than the so-called purse made of dog teeth. While excavating a grave dated between 2500 and 2200 BCE, the team unearthed a cluster of over 100 dog teeth, all aligned in the same direction and tightly grouped together beneath the burial soil. According to archaeologist Suzanne Friedrich from the State Office for Heritage Management and Archaeology Saxony-Anhalt, what initially appeared to be a random grouping of teeth turned out, upon closer analysis, to follow a deliberate arrangement. The teeth, she explained, were likely once attached to a leather or fabric backing that has long since decomposed. The alignment and positioning strongly suggest that the artifact was once the flap of a small handheld pouch or purse. Thousands of years ago, while much of humanity was still forging tools from stone, some were already expressing personal style through finely crafted accessories, made from dog teeth. It's no wonder Friedrich described the artifact as a prime example of Stone Age fashion. Creating such an item would have required collecting teeth from dozens of dogs, a fact that speaks not only to the symbolic importance of the purse, but also to the evolving relationship between humans and dogs at the time. These were no longer just wild animals. They were being raised, cared for, and even included in burial rituals. In fact, canine teeth were widely used in funerary customs throughout Neolithic and Bronze Age Northern and Central Europe. Ancient people adorned their hair, necklaces, or clothing with these teeth. They weren't merely decorative, they symbolized strength, sharpness, and a unique form of prehistoric beauty. Perhaps for them, wearing dog teeth was the equivalent of donning a luxury watch or designer handbag today. A silent yet powerful statement about one's social standing and sense of style. So, what makes this purse more special than other artifacts? It's the layers of meaning it carries. This wasn't just a container. It may have been a ritual item, a symbol of status, or even a personal token tied to the owner's identity. From a small discovery, just a few hundred old dog teeth, archaeologists have unlocked a doorway into the worldview of Stone Age people, where fashion wasn't just for function, but for storytelling. A 1,000-year-old ancient city lies beneath China's cleanest lake. Qiandao Lake, also known as Thousand Island Lake, is a famous scenic area located in Zhejiang Province, China, about 80 miles from downtown Hangzhou and 87 miles from Huangshan. Spanning a vast area of nearly 380 square miles and home to over 1,000 islands, Qiandao Lake is not only the largest man-made lake in China, but also one of the cleanest freshwater bodies in the world. The Chinese often refer to it as the most beautiful water under heaven. This isn't just poetic praise. Scientific assessments confirm that the lake's water is of such high quality that it's safe to drink directly, an extremely rare trait for any lake on Earth. But what truly captures the attention of archaeologists worldwide is not just the lake's pristine beauty, it's what lies hidden beneath its crystal-clear surface. Few would guess that, amidst the lush green islands, lie the sunken remains of two ancient cities, Xicheng and Hecheng, with histories stretching back over 1,000 years. Built during the Han and Tang dynasties and reaching their height in the Ming and Qing eras, these cities were once thriving cultural and economic centers. In 1959, during the construction of the Xin'an River hydroelectric power station, a massive dam caused the water levels to rise dramatically, submerging both cities beneath the new reservoir, essentially sealing them into an underwater time capsule. For decades, no one imagined that a forgotten kingdom lay quietly at the lake's bottom, waiting to be rediscovered. Then in 2001, everything changed. A team of professional divers, working with modern archaeological technology, began exploring the lake's depths. What they found sent shockwaves through the academic world and completely transformed how the region was viewed. Beneath the water, ancient architectural structures remained stunningly intact. Wooden homes, sturdy stone walls, staircases, city gates, ancient temples, towers, and ancestral halls, all frozen in time. One of the most astonishing discoveries was the original city gate of Xicheng, which could still be opened and closed. The iron rings and rivets showed almost no signs of rust, and the mortar between the stone walls remained incredibly firm. Beneath layers of silt, archaeologists found a brick slab etched with the inscription, "Crafted in the 15th year of Guangxu," which corresponds to 1889, along with a Ming Dynasty stone stele containing priceless historical records. This is truly the underwater Pompeii of the East, a city sealed by time, now only accessible through diving expeditions and high-tech equipment. But the wonders of Qiandao Lake aren't limited to the sunken cities. The surrounding area is dotted with cultural relics dating back from the Neolithic period to the Spring and Autumn Warring States era. Notably, in 1974, a fossilized human tooth was found in the Wu Gui Cave in Ligia town. It was later determined to be approximately 50,000 years old, suggesting that this region may have been a prehistoric human settlement. Qiandao Lake is not just a marvel of natural beauty, it is an archaeological treasure trove. Every submerged wall, every stone path, every quiet rooftop beneath the surface whispers stories of the ancient Chinese people, their daily lives, architecture, and rich cultural heritage. For over half a century, those stories remained forgotten, but now they are slowly being brought back to light. So, if you're a history buff, an archaeology enthusiast, or simply curious about lost cities, Qiandao Lake is a destination you absolutely shouldn't miss on your journey to uncover the world's greatest mysteries. A 5,000-year-old Egyptian book with a terrifying prophecy for humanity. Recently, archaeologists discovered a 5,000-year-old book sealed inside a deep tomb at Saqqara, an expansive cemetery of ancient Egypt in southern Cairo, Giza Governorate. The manuscript is believed to be linked to the legendary Book of Enoch. The Book of Enoch is an ancient apocalyptic religious text attributed to Enoch, the great-great-grandfather of Noah from the Old Testament. Experts consider this a breakthrough in modern archaeology, and its message is deeply unsettling. The document predates Egypt's major dynasties and includes both early hieroglyphs and hieratic script, suggesting it dates from the pre-dynastic period or the early Old Kingdom. This has left researchers puzzled. The specialized symbols in this ancient text are proving difficult to decipher. However, scientists believe the book contains at least one frightening truth. According to Mirror US, the manuscript predicts that humanity is being guided by hidden cosmic forces, steering us through an inevitable cycle of fate. It warns that wicked ones may face a grim destiny after death. Their rest will not be peaceful. It also states that every human action influences our collective fate. The discovery of the manuscript, along with macabre artifacts such as mummified skulls and mysterious energy readings in the tomb, has overwhelmed researchers. Especially troubling is the so-called screaming mummy with a horrifyingly distorted face that continues to baffle specialists. The book reportedly contains ominous warnings about historical catastrophes. It's filled with hidden symbols and cryptic messages, cautioning that humanity faces destruction unless certain cycles are broken. The document details recurring patterns that presage the fall of empires. Given ancient Egypt's understanding of the cosmos, this may have served as a warning about the danger of ignoring cosmic influences. Advances in research promise further revelations. High-resolution imaging and AI-powered translation are expected to unlock content from previously unreadable passages. New data could significantly transform our understanding of prehistoric societies, including their religious and philosophical beliefs. Any manuscript like this can reveal hidden knowledge and could reshape our knowledge of history. Monster mummy found at Siberian gold mine. A team of gold miners in Russia's Sakha Republic, Siberia, recently unearthed a remarkably intact mummy, freshly deceased almost, of an extinct creature from millennia ago. The mummy was later identified as a woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis, preserved by Siberia's freezing conditions. Even the epidermis and horn tip remained intact as if the animal had died yesterday. After the initial fragment emerged, researchers from the Northeast Federal University, NEFU, retrieved the rhino's horn. The rest of the massive carcass will be excavated in the coming months, according to NEFU. This is truly a unique find that allows us to delve deeper into the region's history, ancient fauna, climate, and geology, said NEFU rector Anatoly Nikolaev. Scientists note that Siberia's permafrost naturally desiccated the tissues, preventing decomposition and preserving the creature's form, like a time capsule. Unlike fossilized bones, discovering preserved soft tissues is extremely rare and provides powerful insight into the animal's life and environment. Additionally, the cold mummy may still contain genetic material, DNA and possibly RNA, viable for extraction. Maxim Cheprasov, senior researcher and head of NEFU's Mammoth Museum Lab, noted this is only the fifth woolly rhino discovered with preserved soft tissues globally, and the first for NEFU. Although the specimen's exact age is uncertain, Woolly rhinos belong to the Pleistocene epoch, about 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. They first appeared around 300,000 years ago in Europe and Asia, contracted their range during the last ice age, and went extinct roughly 10,000 years ago due to climate change and human impact. Thus, this specimen is at least 10,000 years old, potentially hundreds of thousands of years older. Morphological analysis indicates it was a mature individual. NIFU researchers plan to study the horn before continuing the full excavation. This discovery is part of NEFU's broader efforts to understand large Ice Age fauna in Siberia. In June, they also recovered a 44,000-year-old wolf mummy from permafrost. These discoveries contribute to a comprehensive picture of Siberia's diverse Ice Age ecosystem and help clarify the impacts of climate change and human activity on prehistoric life. The woolly rhino mummy represents a pioneering advance in paleontology and paleobiology, offering a tangible window into life hundreds of thousands of years ago. It may lay the groundwork for research into de-extinction or conservation through genetic analysis. Indeed, it's a vivid testament to nature's ability to preserve time's memory and an endless source of inspiration for scientists and history enthusiasts alike. Ancient Maya City, hidden in the jungles of Mexico. Have you ever imagined that deep within the dense, wild jungles of southern Mexico lies an ancient city, once the thriving center of a brilliant civilization thousands of years ago? Recently, archaeologists made a surprising discovery of a previously unknown Maya city, and this finding is shaking the global archaeological community. The city is named Ocamtun, which means stone column in the Yucatec Maya language, a simple name that hints at a place once central to rituals, power, and grand architecture. Believed to have played a crucial role from around 250 to 1000 AD, Ocamtun was not just an ordinary urban center, but possibly one of the largest and most influential hubs in the entire Maya region. This ancient city was discovered deep within the jungle, situated on elevated terrain, surrounded by extensive wetlands, almost completely isolated from the outside world for centuries. When archaeologists entered Ocamtun's central area, they were overwhelmed by what appeared before them. Massive structures resembling pyramids, some reaching up to 49 feet high, 3 large plazas with enormous buildings arranged in nearly concentric circular patterns, a design that required advanced engineering and reflected the highly developed social organization of the ancient Maya. The stone columns, the symbol behind the name Ocamtun, stood tall like time sentinels, telling stories forgotten for thousands of years. Not only that, archaeologists also uncovered an ancient ball court, where legendary games once took place, considered sacred religious rituals by the Maya. This game was more than sport, it was a cosmic symbol. The rubber ball represented the sun, passed across the court without using hands, and had to go through a small stone hoop, mimicking the movements of planets, linked to religious beliefs and the Maya's remarkable astronomical knowledge. Additionally, near the La Reguena River, central altars were discovered, believed to be places for community rituals. Although further research on the cultures that once inhabited the site is needed, it is clear that Ocamtun was once the sacred heart of a community flourishing both spiritually and intellectually. Leading archaeologist Ivan Sprajic, who heads the research team, believes the refined architectural layout and building materials indicate a highly organized society where political power and religion were tightly interwoven in daily life. However, like many other brilliant civilizations, Ocamtun was not immune to decline. Based on discovered materials and architectural signs, scientists suggest the city began to decline around 800 to 1000 AD, a period when the entire Maya region entered a profound crisis. Changes in ideology, population shifts, and environmental fluctuations may have forced inhabitants to abandon Ocamtun, leaving behind magnificent structures cloaked in moss and vines for centuries. Later, when the Spanish arrived in this region at the end of the 17th century, the remnants of Maya civilization were just weak fortresses, eventually conquered by Western military campaigns. Today, the discovery of Ocamtun not only opens a new chapter in understanding Maya history, but also serves as a powerful reminder of the rise and fall of civilizations that once reached dazzling heights. In an era where science and technology help us uncover Earth's deepest secrets, cities like Ocamtun stand as vivid evidence of human intellect, ambition, and the profound historical lessons modern society must never forget. Pizza 2,000 years ago. In a recent excavation in the heart of Pompeii, Italian archaeologists discovered a mural dating back over 2,000 years inside an ancient house near a bakery. What astonished the world was the image depicted: a dish neatly placed on a plate, alongside a glass of wine and fruit, portraying a meal that was both modest and elegant. But what caught everyone's attention was the food in the center of the plate, a dish shaped, structured, and arranged very much like pizza. According to Gabriel Zuchtriegel, director of the Pompeii Archaeological Park, this food can be seen as the distant ancestor of modern pizza. Although it lacked two essential ingredients today, tomatoes and mozzarella cheese, which appeared in Europe centuries later, the depicted dish bore many similarities to focaccia, a traditional Italian flatbread. This bread is typically brushed with olive oil, sprinkled with herbs, and may include toppings like onions, olives, or herb-based sauces similar to pesto. It was often served as an appetizer or paired with wine during ancient meals. More than a simple dish, the mural's pizza-like bread represents a facet of Roman culinary culture. Its placement beside fruit and wine on a silver plate clearly reflects the blending of everyday life and aristocratic style of the time. A humble dish, but one worthy of appearing on the tables of the wealthy, a testament to the diversity in taste and dining enjoyment of ancient people. This discovery has not only surprised culinary experts, but also opened new pathways to better understand how familiar foods today may have originated thousands of years ago. When baking flatbreads with herbs, olive oil, and wine was already part of Roman meals, we see the extraordinary culinary creativity of ancient humans, without modern kitchen appliances. Interestingly, this mural was not found in a palace or luxurious temple, but in an ordinary house near a bakery, highlighting that such special dishes were not just a privilege of nobles, but everyday joys for common people in Pompeii. This closeness makes the find even more valuable. It tells us a very human story about baking, eating, and savoring life, even if only through a thin slice of bread on a silver plate. Today, pizza is one of the most popular foods worldwide, with millions of variations, from traditional Neapolitan pizza to gooey cheese pizzas in the US or seafood pizzas in Asia. Yet each time you bite into a hot, fragrant slice, you may be connecting with history, communicating with a baker in Pompeii 2,000 years ago, placing on a plate a creation born of heart, herbs, and boundless creativity. Sometimes, history isn't just in books. It can be found in an ancient piece of bread, a wall painting, or even the fleeting flavor of a familiar dish. And pizza, as we've just discovered, is perhaps not merely food, but a magnificent culinary heritage of humanity. The small room of the slave. Amidst the grand marble statues, magnificent marble-floored halls, and endless lavish feasts in Roman villas, a dark side quietly persisted: the life of the slaves. Recently, a shocking archaeological discovery near Pompeii has shed clearer light on this silent, grim world. At the Civita Giuliana Villa, about 2,000 feet north of the Pompeii ruins, completely wiped out during Mount Vesuvius's catastrophic eruption nearly 2,000 years ago, archaeologists uncovered a small room once used by slaves, offering a vivid and poignant glimpse into the lowest class of ancient Roman society. The excavated room was anything but luxurious. In fact, its simplicity leaves one speechless when imagining the people who once lived there. Inside, researchers found 2 wooden beds, only one of which had a mattress, a seemingly minor detail that reveals the internal hierarchy among the servants themselves. The room also contained 2 small cupboards, several ceramic jars, and various daily use items, indicating it was not only a sleeping area, but also a space for living and storing essentials, all confined within a cramped, dark, and damp environment. An even more haunting discovery was the bones of rats found inside, living proof of the poor sanitary conditions slaves endured, even in an elite's villa. Remarkably, archaeologists noticed the faint imprint of a tattered blanket still visible on the bed frame. What was once a soft cloth has now faded into a faint trace, preserved for millennia by the ash and hot stones from Vesuvius. Gabriel Zuchtriegel, director of the Pompeii Archaeological Park, remarked, "It looks like a photograph, but it's an image from nearly 2,000 years ago. A mundane moment, seemingly swallowed by time, now appears vividly and emotionally powerful. Notably, there was no evidence of nets, locks, or chains, common tools for controlling slaves in antiquity. This suggests that supervision and discipline were not always maintained through physical restraints, but largely governed by the internal organizational structure among slaves themselves, where one could monitor and control another, creating a terrifying system of self-regulation within the oppressed class. The feeling of being watched, judged, and controlled by fellow sufferers made freedom a luxury almost unimaginable. This discovery underscores once again that while Pompeii has long been known as a symbol of a developed, wealthy, and elite Roman society, beneath its glamorous facade lay dark layers of injustice, class stratification, and labor exploitation. The slaves living within a few square feet existed quietly in the shadows, serving the luxury of their masters. They have no names in history books, no monuments to commemorate them, but their legacy, through each wooden bed and worn blanket, stands as a profound reminder of a truthful part of history we must never forget. Pompeii, buried under ash for thousands of years, continues to tell stories. These stories are not only about temples, frescoes, or Roman goddesses, but also about small lives enduring harsh fate, spending sleepless nights in a room without light, amid howling winds and the distant calls of masters from the grand halls. Their lives had no choices, yet the traces they left, even a thin blanket, are enough to make the world today pause and reflect. 2,000-year-old shipwreck in the sunken city, beneath the sea. In the deep blue waters off the coast of Egypt, international archaeologists have recently announced the discovery of an ancient Egyptian shipwreck, dated to about 2,200 years ago, lying at the bottom of the sea near Thonis Herakleion, a once glorious city now submerged beneath the Mediterranean. This discovery not only illuminates ancient shipbuilding techniques, but also opens a gateway into the lost world of a magnificent civilization that thrived at the mouth of the Nile River. Thonis to the Egyptians, or Herakleion in Greek, was once a bustling commercial and religious hub. Today, it remains as quiet ruins resting beneath sand and seabed, swallowed by a series of earthquakes and geological upheavals around a millennium ago. Among the newly uncovered artifacts, the shipwreck is about 82 feet long, crafted in the characteristic style of Nile riverboats, notable for its large sails and high speed. According to the European Institute of Underwater Archaeology, which directly participated in the excavation, the ship likely met its fate after crashing into massive rocks collapsed from the nearby Temple of Amun, the region's largest religious symbol at the time. Remarkably, the wreck was found just 16 feet from the temple, buried deep under layers of clay and rubble, indicating the sinking occurred almost simultaneously with a massive natural disaster believed to be a great flood in the 2nd century BCE. Frank Gaudio, veteran archaeologist and chairman of the European Institute of Underwater Archaeology, stated, "Shipwreck discoveries from this period remain extremely rare. What makes this vessel special is its mortise and tenon construction, a highly advanced technique that allowed wooden pieces to be cut and fitted precisely together without nails or adhesives. This structure resembles the puzzle pieces of modern jigsaw games, yet was crafted by human hands over 2 millennia ago. This technique helped preserve the ship's shape relatively intact through centuries buried beneath the sea. However, the shipwreck is not the only find at Thonis Herakleion. Nearby, archaeologists also discovered an ancient cemetery dated back 2,400 years, revealing further layers of cultural and religious history. Inside, they found intricately decorated ceramics, including a shard painted with ocean waves, visually narrating the close bond between the people and the sea. Particularly notable was a gold amulet depicting the god Bes, the protector of women in childbirth and infants. In ancient Egyptian culture, Bes symbolized protection and faith in life during its most fragile moments, highlighting how spiritual beliefs coexisted with everyday life even amid turbulent times. Thonis Herakleion stands as one of ancient Egypt's greatest legends, mentioned in many Greek texts as a lively international port where Egyptian and Greek cultures intertwined. It was the gateway to Egypt's interior, where kings, merchants, and religious devotees gathered. Then, a series of earthquakes and land subsidence events sank the entire city into the sea, sometime between the 8th century BCE and the 2nd century CE. What remains today are fragmented traces of a once brilliant civilization, enough to tell a dramatic story, from prosperous growth to tragic collapse. Now, as modern archaeological vessels glide over the waters where the city once thrived, they carry not just diving equipment, scanners, and rescue nets, but a mission: to awaken memories buried by the sea, connect past and present, and inspire deep respect for what our ancestors built. A ship, a temple, a statue, a shard of pottery, all fragments of history. When pieced together, they tell the story of a city that once lived, breathed, and shone brightly beneath the waves. The gold-laden ship lost for 5 centuries. Can you believe that amid a barren desert where sand stretches beyond the horizon and there's no sign of an ocean, the wreck of a ship could lie hidden for nearly 500 years? It sounds like a tall tale or a plot from an adventurous movie, but this is the astonishing truth about the Bom Jesus, the Lord Jesus, one of the oldest and most valuable shipwrecks ever discovered off the west coast of Africa. Let's travel back to the 16th century and uncover the secret of this ship's fateful journey and the legendary treasure buried beneath the sands of the Namib Desert. Bom Jesus set sail from Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, on a fateful Friday, March 7, 1533. At that time, the world was in the golden age of maritime exploration, and Portugal was one of the leading naval powers. The ship was heavily laden with treasure, gold bars, gold coins, and copper ingots, destined for an ambitious trade voyage to the distant lands of the West Indies. But Bom Jesus vanished without a trace somewhere in the ocean, leaving unanswered questions for nearly half a millennium. It wasn't until 2008, in a truly unexpected circumstance, that the mystery of the ship's fate began to unfold. During diamond mining operations near the coast of Namibia, in a restricted area known as Shipwreck, once tightly controlled by German mining companies, workers accidentally discovered the remains of an ancient ship buried deep in the sand. Rotten wooden fragments, glittering gold coins, and numerous metal artifacts from centuries ago began to surface. Shortly thereafter, archaeologists confirmed this was indeed Bom Jesus, the ship lost over 475 years ago. The scene of the discovery resembled a real treasure vault. Nearly 2,000 intact gold coins, tens of thousands of pounds of copper ingots, and priceless artifacts like a flintlock pistol at least 500 years old, cannons, compasses, swords, astronomical instruments, religious texts, and even an ancient diving bell were uncovered. All were remarkably preserved by the sand and the arid desert climate. Notably, a treasure chest full of gold coins was found just 1 week into the excavation, undeniable proof of the ship's identity. According to archaeologists, Bom Jesus likely met its doom after sailing too close to shore during a violent storm off Namibia's coast. The hull struck a submerged reef, causing the ship to list and capsize. No human remains were found at the site, suggesting most of the crew either survived or were lost at sea. As the tide receded and centuries passed, the wreck was gradually buried beneath desert sands, lying silent like a secret waiting to be uncovered. What makes Bom Jesus especially remarkable isn't just the treasure it carried, but also its design and role during the height of Portugal's naval fleet. It belonged to a class of larger, sturdier, and more efficient ships, built for long voyages across distant oceans. Its route, from Lisbon around the southern tip of Africa to India, was a crucial maritime corridor in Portugal's 16th century global trade expansion strategy. Today, the Bom Jesus wreck is recognized as the oldest shipwreck ever found in the waters near the Sahara. Due to its immense historical and archaeological value, the discovery site is strictly protected, visitor access is limited, and it remains an active research area for experts from the South African Maritime Archaeology Institute. Dr. Dieter Nolli, who leads the excavation, alongside international scholars, continues to unravel the remaining mysteries of this magnificent vessel. The story of Bom Jesus is a clear testament to the wonders of history and nature's power to preserve the past. A ship loaded with gold, lost in the ocean, then found buried in the desert. This is not just an archaeological discovery, but a journey back in time, touching the vivid moments of a bygone era. And who knows, beneath some other patch of dry earth on our planet, other secrets may still be waiting to be revealed. You can see archaeology has revealed many mysterious stories from history and shown that our distant ancestors were truly clever and sophisticated. What do you think about this? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss other fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.